My name is Jennifer Barber. I'm your Assistant Vice President of Alumni Relations in the Sacramento State Alumni Association, and we are so honored to be hosting this event in partnership with Hornet Athletics. And want to give a big shout out to Cheryl Boyce for all of her help in coordinating this. I really appreciate it. And to get started, I'd like to go around the room and have our coaches introduce themselves. So I'm going to start with Coach Linenberger. If you could share your name, your sport, and how long you've been at Sac State.
Sure. My name is Mike Linenberger. I'm the head men's soccer coach, and I'll be starting my 33rd year next month.
Wow, wonderful. Let's move on to Coach Dedini.
Hello, everybody. My name is Randy Dedini. I'm the head coach of the women's soccer team. I've been here for 17 years now, 15 years as a head coach, and excited to get another season underway.
Wonderful. And Coach Jackson.
Yeah, hello. My name's Ed Jackson, and I am going into my 6th year here. I work with both the volleyball and the beach volleyball teams here at Sacramento State.
Great. And last but not least, Coach Taylor.
Yeah, Troy Taylor. I'm the head football coach, and this is my 2nd year at Sacramento State.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for joining us. I want to go through just a few housekeeping items before we continue on. We will have all participants muted throughout the duration of the event, but if you see some of your friends or colleagues in the participant or attendees window, please feel free to use the chat feature to connect with them. You can message the whole group, or you should be able to send them a private message as well. If you have questions for any of your coaches that come to mind as we're going along, please put those in the Q&A feature. And after we get through our prepared questions, Cheryl Boyce will do a Q&A session with any questions that were submitted. And last but not least, we will be recording this event so that we can share it on our YouTube channel for you to watch again in the future or share with your fellow Hornets. So with that, we are going to kick this off with some break the ice, fun, rapid fire questions. And I'm going to just ask each of you to kind of do a round robin and share your answers. And the first is, do any of you have a nickname with your student athletes?
Not that I know of.
They might for me.
Not that I know of.
Coach
All
T,
right.
maybe. Hopefully that's it. I'm hoping.
Coach T.
My guys call me the Gaffa.
The Gaffa. What is that driven by?
That's a British slang term that means the boss.
Ah, all right. What about you, Coach Jackson?
I just go by Ed. I'm really simple. I just go by first name, so everybody just calls me Ed.
All right, Ed. Thank you. All right, next question. What is your favorite workout music? What really gets you pumped up?
Eminem, Lose Yourself would be my pump-up song.
Nice.
I like a little bit of everything. I think as long as it's got a nice dance beat and you can get up and move to it.
And do you dance for your players?
I'm a horrible dancer, but I kind of dance by myself mostly.
Nice.
I'm an
What about-
80s rock and roll guy.
Like metal bands rock and roll?
Not metal, more
Okay.
rock.
All right.
I'm a big country music fan, so I prefer the Party Country playlist on Spotify.
A little line dancing on the volleyball court?
We have, that has been recorded. Yes, in the past we've had some of that going on.
That sounds like a good quarantine virtual social media share there. Let's have a little fun here with superheroes. And if you could have any superpower, what would it be and why? Let's start with Coach Linenberger.
I think I would want to be able to fly like Superman so I could avoid the California traffic.
Good call. Good call. How about Coach Dedini?
Well, I've recently lost somebody to cancer, and so I was thinking about this, and I would love to be a healer. To be able to, change somebody's life in that way and heal somebody who has that, but also for one of my players that comes off the field and they're crying because they just maybe torn an ACL or something. I'd love to be able to put a hand on it and make them all feel better.
That would be amazing. How about Coach Jackson?
I kind of kept it to the sport itself. I was thinking that if I had the ability to talk to the athletes at a critical moment in competition, be able to connect with them and have some kind of kinetic power and give them that special hot tip to, you know, be successful. So that would be a great superpower if I could have that.
A little in-game telepathy. That would be awesome. And how about you, Coach Taylor?
I'm a Hornet. Flight. I want flight.
Nice. You'd be zooming over the field during the games like a drone, using the telepathy power of the volleyball team. And all right. How about something we all can identify with in this time? What has been your favorite binge watching show, movie, reality TV during quarantine? We'll go in reverse order this time. Coach Taylor, you have any thoughts on that?
Ours is Modern Family, because we can watch it as a family. It's pretty family friendly, so that one's been fun.
Very nice. What about you, Coach Jackson?
Our entire staff, we actually are watching the series Yellowstone on the Paramount Network. That's kind of the big one that we're all kind of talking about right now as we're working through, you know, the pandemic.
Is that the Kevin Costner one?
Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
We watched it all last season, and it was while we were traveling. We actually go to Montana where the Yellowstone Ranch is, and so it's been kind of a fun thing for us.
Very nice. How about you, Coach Dedini?
Well, I've got a couple. One I watch with my son as kind of a bonding thing. He really likes it. The Green Arrow. It's
Yes.
It's entertaining, and maybe not, you know, an Academy Award winner, but he likes it, and so I like it because, you know, he's interested in it. And then with my girls and my wife, we've started The Office all over because I love The Office. I just haven't seen it from the beginning till end.
You have hit on a couple that are always on in our household as well. I have a 19-year-old, so lots of Office and lots of Green Arrow and other DC-based superhero shows.
Yes.
Coach Linenberger.
Yeah, I'm with Ed. I've been watching Yellowstone, and actually the volleyball staff and Lois Matthijs, our senior women's administrator, turned me on to it. So been watching season 3 as well as going back and trying to catch up on seasons 1 and 2.
Awesome. Sounds like you guys could have a soccer volleyball chat about Yellowstone. All right, let's take a little turn back towards reflection. And what is a quick piece of advice that you would share with your younger self, or what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given? Anyone want to throw their hand up and go first?
I'll go ahead. I think to take advantage of every day, you know, because now that I'm getting older and I look back at what I could have done different, you know, I think I could have taken a little bit better advantage of every day and had a goal set out every single day to accomplish, you know, because I remember thinking back, there were some days where I would just literally do nothing. And those felt good, but at the end of the day, you know, especially for an athlete, it doesn't get you maybe to where you want to be.
Great advice. How about Coach Jackson? You look like you want to talk.
I think for me, when I've learned about being a lot more patient as far as coaching goes, and really enjoying the process. You know, when I was younger coach, I was definitely a lot more impatient, and that kind of stuff would come on every now and then. But over the years, I've kind of learned how to deal with that and enjoy the journey and the process of coaching, and you know, continue to enjoy it today.
Fantastic. Coach Taylor?
I would say the best advice I got was from my parents. They just told me to pursue what I really loved, and they were always supportive and non-judgmental in the fact that I loved playing football and I wanted to coach and all those things. So just that advice and also that encouragement and support was life-changing for me.
I can see how that would be true for you and everyone. Coach Linenberger.
Yeah, I think some advice that really hit home to me is when I was in high school, and my youth coach at the time told me that, you know, very few people can have a major impact on the world, but everyone can have an impact on the people around you, your family, your friends, in this case, you know, our team and our players. So trying to have an impact on the people that are around me.
And such timely advice for this time of quarantine. And, you know, we can't all get out to the big world around us, but we can still have an impact in our communities and with those we love. Thank you for sharing that. Before we get into a little bit more about your sport, let's wrap up the rapid fire with what is your favorite pre-workout meal or pre-game meal, if you want to think of it in a team approach. Got some blank stares there.
I thought the question, sorry, Troy, go ahead.
Pasta would be my pregame meal.
Nice. Randy.
Yeah. Well, going back to my own playing days, I thought we were talking about me specifically.
Yeah.
I like a simple tuna sandwich, you know, something that's light, but it kind of stayed with me. That was my pregame meal for years.
Very nice. How about Coach Jackson?
Well, as an athlete, I learned the hard way with having a pre-workout meal at a Chili's, and then went into a practice, and we did some pretty serious conditioning that led me to have to go to the restroom and then come back after I left my lunch there, and then so yeah, I've learned to just kind of have a nice light meal, something pretty simple, basic, prior to working out.
I will definitely take away, keep it light there. But thank you for keeping your description clean. Coach Linenberger.
Yeah, my pregame meal when I was still an athlete was peanut butter, honey, and banana sandwich.
Sounds tasty. All right. Well, let's move into a little more about you as a coach, and maybe start with sharing what inspired you to make that leap in moving from player to coach. Anyone want to jump on that first?
I can jump on that.
Great.
I was fortunate enough to, first of all, I love the game. I mean, it was always my passion ever since I was a little kid, but, you know, I was fortunate enough to play professionally for 11 years after college. And during the off seasons, we had about a 4-month off season. And so I had a chance to spend with Sonoma State, Chico State, and Duquesne University and be a goalkeeper coach and an assistant coach. And it really showed me, like, after my playing days are over, this could really be something that I would enjoy. You know, I enjoy coaching young players and sharing the knowledge that I've gained over the years and seeing them develop. And so I think just having played and then coaching along the way really inspired me to be like, you know, this is something I can see myself doing for a long time.
That's awesome. How about you, Coach Linenberger?
Yeah, similar to Randy, I started coaching youth soccer when I was actually still in high school. Continued to coach youth soccer when I was playing my college soccer. And then once my playing career finished, I wanted to stay involved in the game. And for me, coaching was the best way to do it, and something I had a little bit of experience with and enjoyed. And it was a great way to stay involved in the game and continue to try and have an impact.
I can see how that continued involvement in the game would be a big draw, I would think. Coach Taylor, how about you?
Yeah, you know, I was really lucky. I knew from a really early age that I wanted to play football as long as I could, and then I wanted to coach. So from about roughly the age of probably 7,
Wow.
I knew that's what I was going to do, and I never had a doubt about it, and it was always kind of in front of me. So I can't really imagine doing anything else, to be honest with you. So I was very lucky, like I said. That
is persistence to start at age 7 with your dream and make it happen. Congratulations. Coach Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, I as a player had a fair amount of success in I just got an opportunity to, when I graduated, to become a graduate assistant at Eastern Illinois and explore the idea of coaching at the collegiate level, and just fell in love with it. Really enjoyed working with athletes, student athletes, helping them grow and develop, and just kind of stuck with me. And I've had a chance to travel around the country and coach all over the place, and now I'm here at Sacramento State.
That's awesome. So one of my my next questions was going to be what brought you to Sacramento State. So maybe Coach Jackson, you could, since you ended your thought right there on Sacramento State, you could share a little more about how you selected Sacramento State as your home.
Well, yeah, I'm actually originally from San Diego in California, and I had an opportunity to come and play with the collegiate club volleyball team at Sacramento State, and it seemed like a great fit for me at the time as a student. So I took advantage of that, and that's kind of how I got my roots settled here in Sacramento. When I graduated, I moved on and I started coaching, and I had stints pretty much around the country. Like I had said, Eastern Illinois, but I had some, I started full-time at UC Santa Barbara, and then I worked my way out to Virginia at the College of William and Mary. More recently, I was at Fresno State, and then at Academy of Art University in San Francisco. And then it just came full circle here. The head coach of the volleyball program is Ruben Volta, and we were teammates together. We played together, and roommates too, and we just stayed connected and have been friends since college. So when an opportunity came to work with him and with the volleyball and beach volleyball teams, I was really excited about the opportunity. So that's what led me back here.
Well, wonderful, and great to see a student coming back to serve as a coach. That's awesome.
That's great.
Coach Linenberger, how about you? I know you said you've been on campus for 33 years now. What brought you to Sacramento State as your home and career?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Dallas, Texas, and then went to school at Duke University in North Carolina. After I graduated, I went over to the former West Germany. This was before the wall came down, and played professionally there for a few years. And then once my playing career was coming to an end, I knew I wanted to get into coaching, and the head coach at Sacramento State at the time gave me an opportunity to come out here and be his assistant. And so I did that for a year, and literally a month before the second year was going to start, he left to take a new job. And we had just hired a new athletic director as well about a month before that. So the new athletic director named myself and the other assistant as co-head coaches. We were both young, without a lot of coaching experience at the collegiate level. And we actually ended up doing that for 3 years. And the third year was actually our first year of Division I competition. We just made the jump from Division II to Division I. And at the end of the third year, we both went into the athletic director and said, look, we feel we've been co-head coaches as long as we can do it. We both wanted to start to try and take the program in different directions. So he said, okay, we're going to open up the job, and neither one of you are guaranteed to get it. And so we did, and he did a national search, and I was fortunate enough to be named the head coach, and I've been here ever since, and love it. We've seen the university and the athletic department grow tremendously, and it's been fantastic to be a part of.
It's got to be nice to have that history with the team and the institution. So thank you for all your years of coaching. Coach Dedini, how about you?
Yeah, it's similar to my last question is, I played for a long time, and during that time I got some experience coaching, and so I knew that's what I wanted to do after my playing years were over. And I was from Vacaville, California, and my wife was from Concord, California, so we were living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at the time, and so when my career was coming to an end, we wanted to be close to family, so we moved back, not quite knowing what exactly, was going to come next. And, got in contact with the coach at Sacramento State, who at the time was an interim coach, and they needed a goalkeeper coach. And so I was excited, for the opportunity to get with another college and work with some of the kids. And I had called Mike to see if I could maybe work with his goalkeepers, which I did that first year. And kind of one thing led to another. And the next year I was the head assistant for Katie Pointer, who was the coach, who was the interim coach at the time. And, and then soon after that, I became the head coach. And so just very fortunate to be in the right place at the right time, so to speak. And, and I like Mike. I just love it. I love the sport. I love the school. I love the area. And I couldn't be more happy doing this.
Well, and it's fantastic when those doors open at the right time. So that's great. And Coach Taylor, I know 2 years under your belt, so it's probably pretty fresh. What brought you to Sac State, if you want to share with us?
Yeah, so I grew up in Sacramento and just very familiar with the program and always loved the city of Sacramento. And then after I went to college and played some ball, I knew I was going to coach, like I said earlier, and came back home and coached at a high school, Castle Roble High School, for a year, and then became a graduate assistant at University of Colorado and for a year, and then got hired back at my alma mater at Cal. I was there for 4.5 years and just decided that I wanted to have kids with my wife, Tracy, and college football was kind of would have been a tough time to do that. And so we moved back to Sacramento, and I ended up coaching here. It was at Christian Brothers for a couple of years, and then I got my credential, got the Folsom job, and I was there for 14 years and then had a lot of fun and felt like needed a new challenge. So I talked my wife into moving up to Spokane, Washington. And we moved up there, and I was at the offensive coordinator at Eastern Washington for a year and had a blast there, and then got hired to Utah for 2 years. And then Mark Orr approached me at the end of our second year and wanted to talk to me about the job. And he was pretty compelling, and I felt good I knew a lot about Sacramento, obviously, and I know it's a great city, and the high school football here is really good. And I knew you could be successful if things were in alignment leadership-wise. Felt great about President Nelson and Mark Orr, and just felt like it was a great opportunity that we could have a lot of fun and be successful. And so here I am.
Wonderful. Well, I know last season was a lot of fun to watch the guys play, and we're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Let's do a rapid fire of what is your favorite memory or thing at Sac State? Coach Jackson.
Probably it was a lot of fun. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, 2017, we won the Big Sky Conference Championship, and it had been the first time for a while. So that was a great memory for us. The student athletes with that team, that particular squad, they were really motivated, and it was really exciting to see them achieve the kind of success that they were really, shooting for, to be a conference champion. So it was a great memory.
Awesome. Coach Dedini, how about you?
I think a similar thing. We've won a couple championships here, and just being able to now kind of reflect on the whole process of those seasons and the people involved. Those were pretty special times for me. But to be honest, some of the best times that I have these days, now that I've been here for 17 years, are at some of our alumni games. Seeing some of the alumni come back with their, husbands and kids and their families, and it's really pretty rewarding and pretty cool to see them come back and, have, kids and families of their own. So I have a lot of fun at the alumni games now, and just being able to remember all the great times that we had when they were, part of the program in here.
Well, selfishly being in the alumni engagement field, thank you for keeping that connection alive with those alumni. I know they appreciate it, and it's great for the university. How about you, Coach Linenberger?
Yeah, I have two of them similar to Ed and Randy. 2009, we won our first ever conference championship, went to the NCAA tournament, beat Loyola Marymount in the first round before losing to UCLA in the second round. We followed that up the very next year, 2010, with another conference championship that we hosted at Sac State. We won in overtime, dramatic fashion. And then we were actually fortunate enough to host an NCAA first round game that year. We beat Santa Clara and had to travel to UCLA again in the second round and lost again. But winning back-to-back championships and winning first round NCAA games was quite memorable.
That sounds like it, and we'll try to keep you away from UCLA in the future.
We appreciate that.
Coach Taylor, how about you?
A lot of great memories, and just a year. All the interactions and relationships, especially with our staff, got a great, very close-knit coaching staff, and interaction with the players is great. If I had to pick one memory, I would say beating UC Davis at home to win the Big Sky Championship, and seeing all the seniors that have been through so much in their prior 4 years, and being rewarded with sticking with it. And when you take over a job, as everybody will tell you, you kind of hit the ground running. And when I left Utah, I took the job when we were preparing for a bowl game, and then just went straight out here and just started recruiting. It really just doesn't stop. So it was a pretty fast track, and you kind of keep your eye on the ball and your day-to-day work, and then before you know it, you've got something going in the season, and then you get to the last game of the season and you got a chance to win the Big Sky, and then putting it all together and doing that in front of a sold out crowd. And it was a great experience, I think, for everybody.
Yeah, that was an amazing game. I mean, we had a ton of alumni out there. The stands were full, and just the energy was amazing. And being able to walk on the field at the end of the game when everyone was celebrating was a lot of fun. So thank you for bringing us that energy last fall. Let's talk a little bit about what your favorite thing is about your sport. So Coach Jackson, what's your favorite thing about volleyball?
I think the biggest thing for me, at least, is that it requires multiple people in order to be successful. It's, at our level, you have to take advantage of all three contacts. So being able to pass, set, and attack, or dig, set, and attack in our sport, it's really critical. So having that kind of teamwork or team play is something I really enjoy about the game.
Nice. Coach Taylor, what's your favorite thing about football? I know you've been living and breathing it since you were 7 at least, so you've got to have a long list.
Yeah, pretty similar, and just everybody having to come together, people from different races, religions, working together to one unified goal, working hard together. I love the fact that it's a very complex game. There's a lot of strategy to it. Love the relationships, and I love the fact that you get a chance to play every week, and win, lose, or draw, you get to turn around and prepare, and then I love competition. I really love competing. So those are the things that draw me to football.
Yeah, I think if you don't like to compete, sports is the wrong field for you, period. Coach Linenberger, how about you? What's your favorite thing about soccer?
Yeah, I think it's just the fact that it's the world's game. They play it on in every continent, every country in the world. The passion that the people bring to the game. I've been fortunate that I've been able to travel the world, both as player and as coach. And the experiences you get out of that have been life-changing.
I can see how that would be. And Coach Dedini, I hope he didn't steal your thunder since you share a sport, but what's your favorite thing about soccer?
Well, I think a lot of, the coaches, kind of said it all. Number one for me is competition. I love to compete, whether it's a board game or the sport that I love the most in soccer. I love competing, and I still get the butterflies before game day, and I love that, and I would really miss that. But it's also the relationships. It's the relationships, that you make over the years, and with your teammates, the camaraderie, and having the same goals as a team and working towards those goals. And it's just a lot of fun. But I would say the competition for me is what really drives me. I love it.
Awesome. So I know we don't really know what our fall season sports are going to look like yet, given this era that we're in, but pretend we are in pre-COVID times. What would a typical day look like when your sport is in season? So we'll start with you, Coach Dedini. What would your day look like? You're in season. Go.
My day or the girls' day? Or
You can blend them
Please.
together because I'm guessing they interface.
yeah, I was thinking you were thinking about an athlete. So an athlete's typical day might be that, you know, they wake up at between 7 and 8 in the morning. They go to school, you know, for an 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock class. They would go to school between, you know, 8 and, you know, maybe 1 or 2 p.m. Before getting ready to, for us this year, we're going to be training from 3 to 5. And so they'll get ready for a weightlifting session with our strength and conditioning coach. And then after that, they'll walk over to the field, have a session with us. And really then after that, you know, they get some treatment, some ice, whatever they need to do in the training room to prepare themselves for the next day. And, you know, and then they go home, they probably have dinner and spend 2 or 3 hours studying before bed. But I mean, this life of a student athlete is very busy. And, you know, their time management is really important. And so that's kind of a typical day in the life of a student athlete. You know, and for us coaches, it's kind of similar. You know, we're waking up early, we get to work, typically get together and as a coaching staff and talk about the plans for the day and, you know, how we want to, you know, how we want to attack the day. And, you know, one of our goals is always to, you know, get something out of every day. And, you know, so that's a typical day for us is we get together early in the morning, we discuss how we're going to attack the day. And then, you know, we try to go in with the energy to inspire the girls when we're training. And, you know, and that's about it. And then after practices, you know, we talk about the next day and what we're going to do the next day and how we're going to prepare for that. So it's never ending. Kind of like Troy said, it never really stops.
Yeah.
Even when you go home from work, you're still working.
Living and dreaming it, I'm guessing.
But because we love our sports so much, it doesn't feel like we're working all the time, or at least me.
Coach Linenberger, anything you would add on the men's soccer front?
No, it's similar. I think probably most of us are pretty similar. We spend the morning doing a little bit of film review, you know, looking at video from our previous game, as well as looking at video from our upcoming opponents and planning out strategy for the next game, planning out training session. The afternoon obviously is training, meeting with players, maybe watching film as a team, watching film with individual players or small groups of players. And then the evening, it's a lot of recruiting time, whether you're calling recruits on the phone, you're going out to watch games, practices. But yeah, it's they're long days, but enjoyable days, and wouldn't trade it for anything.
I can tell. Coach Taylor, how about you?
Yeah, you know, coaches are very routine oriented. So we're, you know, if once we finish a game, if it's home, obviously we're at home. If travel, we travel back. And then Sunday, our players come in, you know, at noon. We come in a little bit before then. We watch the tape, kind of see what we did, good, bad, and ugly, and then bring our players in. We watch the tape as an offensive group, offensive positions, defensive positions, special teams, kind of address and see what we did. And then have a quick team meeting, and then the players go home. We stay and watch a little bit of tape until about 7. Then we try to reset as coaches. We get home on Sunday night and try to have dinner with our families and hang out. And then Monday morning we're pretty consistent at 7:30 in the morning. We come in. Monday is the players' off day, so they go to school, take care of schoolwork, anything they need to. And that's our heavy day that we are looking into our opponent and what they do offensively, defensively. We start putting together plan. We also talk academics and get training reports on where our players are injury-wise. And then on Tuesday, again, start at 7:30. We really focus, football's game of situations, so we focus on first and second down and goal line short yardage on pretty much both sides of the ball. And then set up our practice plan. We script everything, every play, every second of the practice, so there's a lot of time that goes into that. And then go out and practice. Players go home, we eat, and then come back and at the office. And we usually work on Tuesdays. till about 9, and then Wednesdays we work another situation. It's like red zone and third down, and then pretty much the same plan. Go home at 8, and then on Thursday we work all the phases in the game, the short practice, and then get home right after practice to spend time with family. And then Fridays we come in a little bit later, about 11 o'clock as a staff, do some recruiting, evaluate players from across the country or mostly in California, see if we want to recruit them. And then players come in, we have a short little practice, kind of a review of everything. And then we have an alumni from somebody from the past that comes and speaks to our team. We have a team meeting, eat dinner, and they go home, and then we get up and play the next day. If it's a game on the road, obviously we travel on Friday, and then we do it all over again till the season's over with. And I love it. I love every day. I love all the, I know sometimes you hear football coaches acting like they have the toughest job in the world and what a grind it is. I think it's incredibly fun and challenging. And, like Randy said, I love it. I can't believe I get paid to do it. I mean, they pay me real money to coach football and do all this, with people that I like, and get to coach athletes and get to compete. To me, it's a miracle.
Well, it is a wonderful thing when you can love the job you do and do the job you love. So congrats. Coach Jackson.
Oh, well, for volleyball, our practice window is from 2 to 4:30. We want our student athletes to have the maximum opportunity to get the classes that they want. So the majority of the classes are usually scheduled between 8 and 1:15 or so. So we leave that window for them to make sure they get their course loads in and make their progress towards degree. They'll also do treatment. If anybody's got some nagging injuries that they need to get treated, that'll be kind of a window. Any type of academic support is going to be in that window as well, studying and things like that. And then, like I said, we have our practice. The athletes will show up a little bit before. We'll get our nets set up in the gym, and then we'll get through and do our training session. Usually 2 to 3 days a week, they'll have some strength conditioning after that. And then the student athletes will go home and study and get some food and refuel, and get ready to do it all over again the next day. If we're not working with the student athletes, we're typically doing what most of the other coaches are doing as well, which is game film review, scouting reports, trying to get an edge so that when we get into competition, we have an advantage, and we can compete at a high level. So that's kind of one of the biggest things that we do. And then recruiting is also a big thing. We'll do a lot of contacting throughout the day via email when we're allowed to do that. And then since most prospect age students are in school during the day, we have to usually wait until the evenings to contact them and get in touch with them. So that's kind of how it works.
Well, you hit on one point that I wanted to ask about as well, is how do you all help your student athletes balance academics and athletics, knowing that they're on campus to get a degree, but they're also there to play the sport they love? Did you want to add anything to that, Coach Jackson?
Sure. That's the biggest, I would say one of the big things we do is that we try to have our practice time not be in a window where where a lot of courses are being offered. We do have study hall opportunities. Our athletes meet with our academic support. They have a mentor program in the SARC department, which is our academic support program with athletics. We have a lounge where our athletes can come in and study as well if need be, if they need access to a computer. There are some in there that they can get on and take advantage of those opportunities. But yeah, when we travel as well, we'll have designated sessions where the athletes can study and stay on top of their academics. We had a great academic year this past season. The volleyball program just got awarded. It's a coaches award from our Coaches Association, the American Volleyball Coaches Association. Our overall team GPA was above a 3.3, and so we were able to get the first ever team academic award in our program's history. So I think we've done a really good job of recruiting athletes that can perform well on the court and also in the classroom, and they are really true student athletes. So,
Well, that's a great achievement. Congratulations.
Thank
Would
you.
anyone else like to add what they are doing with their student athletes?
You know, the NCAA does a pretty good job of kind of creating that balance. In football, it's 20 hours. So during the season, you only get them for 20 hours. 3 of those hours are for game and travel. So we really have them for 17 hours other than the competition. So we have to be really good with our time and making sure we're not wasting the kids' times. And you know, like everybody, our classes are mostly taken between, you know, 7 a.m. and right around 1:30. We do our meetings start at 2 p.m. and then they practice right after, and they're usually gone by about 6:30 p.m. So it's hard. It's a challenge for student athletes for sure. You got to be organized and be on top of it. But I'm really proud of our guys. This last semester we had 70 student athletes with a 3.0 or higher, and our team GPA was over 3.1. So we're really proud of our guys, and we have incredible support academically with our system. Jenna is amazing, and her staff, and so it's really a team deal. But our number one goal, and all our guys know it, is to graduate. There is no close number 2 goal for us. If we leave with a degree, then we've failed them, and they failed themselves. Second goal is we want them to have a great experience. Part of having a great experience is winning, but there's nothing more important than them getting a degree. So it's really important to us.
I'm sure they appreciate the support. How about in the soccer world? Anything you'd like to add on the academic student athlete front?
I think Troy and Ed have kind of hit the nail on the head there with those things. And the only other little thing that we do is we started this a couple years ago for all of our student athletes that earn a 3.0 GPA or higher for the semester. We give them a little Sac State swag. So a little extra motivation to make sure they're studying hard and trying to get that swag.
Nice.
Yeah, and I would just say, like Troy said, you know, we have excellent academic support here at Sacramento State. It's like a team effort, you know, to make sure that our girls or our student athletes get everything that they need. We are allowed and we're able to monitor them throughout the year and see how they're doing. And so if there's a student athlete who starts to struggle, the academic support has tutors, different people that they can see, mentors, to help them get back on track. And so it's really a team effort here at Sacramento State, and our academic support is fantastic.
I would agree. I really appreciate the investment the university and athletics makes in the success of our student athletes and all students in general. I think at this point, because we have a number of questions in the Q&A, I'm going to ask Cheryl to come on camera and ask you all some of the questions that have popped on the Q&A. So I will mute myself and let Cheryl take over.
All right, here we go. Thanks, you guys. One of the questions, with the actions at the high school level by the CIF to restrict the start of athletics in the fall, how are you working with them as you recruit and seek to bring student athletes to Sacramento State? Anybody?
Well, the NCAA right now has a dead period that's right now through at least the end of August. So we're not allowed to bring anyone on campus. We're not allowed to go off campus to meet with anyone. Everything has to be done through telephone calls or Zoom right now anyway. So until the NCAA lifts that dead period, we're stuck a little bit.
We're adapting a little bit. You know, like Michael said, it's changed a little bit with the dead period. So we're doing virtual junior days. So we have actually one tonight at 6 p.m. where we have a whole deal that we talk about, you know, what we're about as a program, give them a campus tour that's this video, to have our academic presentation, and then a roundtable. So for football, you know, we're really evaluating guys in the off season a lot. We spent a lot of time during this whole COVID break of evaluating players in the area, and we've put out most of our offers already. Now, it is a little different now that they don't have a fall season, because the signing dates are in December for football and in February. So these kids are probably going to have to make their decision a little earlier than they thought, because I don't know how many scholarships are going to be available by the time they finish their season in the spring. So we'll see what happens, but maybe we'll have guys that'll commit a little bit earlier to try and kind of hold their slot. It's definitely uncharted ground for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Here's another question. What are ideal characteristics that you all look for in players, and what does it take to be an athlete at Sacramento State?
Wow, that's pretty broad.
Very broad.
I think one of the first things I think probably we all look for is character. You know, somebody with a strong character, somebody that we're not going to have to babysit when they get here. You know, somebody that keeps their grades up and, you know, is dedicated to the sport, dedicated to staying in good condition and in great shape, and always looking to get better. Those are the type of athletes I'm looking for. I mean, it's hard to pinpoint exactly the type, you know, but certainly one with strong character, one with a strong work ethic, and a team player. You know, one of the first things I look for, and when I talk to coaches, is what do they like? You know, what kind of a kid, what kind of a teammate is he? What kind of a, what kind of a kid is he? Is he going to be a problem? How are his grades? Am I going to have to, be watching him the whole time here? Because, I would rather concentrate on soccer rather than, following them around, make sure they're going to class and get their grades up. So we certainly look for kids that can handle, coming and doing everything they need to succeed at a Division I level. And it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of hard work. And so those are the types of kids that I'm looking for.
I would venture to say that that's probably how you all feel. Is there anything else anybody wants to add to that question?
I would say for us in the volleyball program, I think we put a big premium on how well the prospects connect with the current athletes when they come on a visit. That's kind of something that's important. We want to make sure we have a good cohesive group of athletes all working together towards a common goal. So when we have an athlete, a prospective student athlete come on a visit, we let them interact with the current student athletes on the team, and then afterwards we have a meeting and we discuss it and we ask them, what were the things that went well, and to find out and make sure that's a good fit. But so that's one thing to add on.
Okay.
Look at.
Another question that just came in that's kind of on the same topic, but given our current situation with COVID-19 and everything moving to a virtual environment, what can the Sac State community do to make student athletes feel supported while we are in a virtual environment? And if they play without fans in the stands, have there been any suggestions to keep the athletes engaged with fellow students, alumni, etc.? And I can answer part of that question. Is we are doing everything we can behind the scenes for scenario A, scenario B, scenario C, with fans, without fans, play, virtual, watch parties, etc., etc. As far as the fans go and the alumni, how do we make the student athletes feel supported?
Yeah, and I think more than ever before, we're taking advantage of social media outlets to stay connected, with our current and future athletes. I think the social media side, the kids love it, and it's a big part of their lives. And so we've put a lot more effort into connecting with student athletes through the social media platforms.
Anybody else? Good. I think a lot of people were getting the same question about what does your day look like right now going into, obviously we don't know what fall sports, what lies ahead for fall sports and what that's going to look like, but what are you doing currently to deal with COVID-19 and the procedures and practice and getting ready to possibly play in the fall? What does a day look like in the world of a student athlete now that we're dealing with COVID-19?
Well, for our football guys, you know, we put our guys into groups or pods that they can train in. So we're allowed to have, the county of Sacramento has allowed us to have 20 athletes together. So you have to be 6 feet apart in outdoors at this point. We were indoors for a little bit, but so we keep them in those groups so that they're not interacting with anybody but the group. Now, obviously that's limiting in a team sport. So we're hoping that that's going to expand, you know, so that we can do some more team stuff. But right now we're really just breaking it down into groups, working with those groups throughout the day on the field. We can't have a football on the field when we're out there. The players can do that on their own, but just training them, trying to keep them in shape. And then really a big part of it is just educating our guys that this pandemic it's a big deal. It's dangerous, and it's how they behave and how they act when they leave our facilities is going to impact a lot of people, and it's going to impact our university. I think at this age group, they're so young, and they probably realize that it doesn't affect them as much. And I think we can all remember when we were 18 to 22, you know, it was hard to think about really anything other than ourselves. So they got to be able to understand that this is bigger than them. And so we spend a lot of time with that. Really, I mean, the safest place our players are is when they're on our campus, because we're following protocol. It's when they leave. We're all social beings. We like being around people. So this is hard for everybody. And they want to gather together. They want to be around each other. And right now, that's just not possible. So I think that's probably everybody's challenge, is trying to keep everybody safe, but still give them the opportunity to play sports in the fall. And it's nothing's really been decided. So we're just focusing day to day. That's what we harp on, is focus on what we can do right now, make good decisions, be a team player, don't gather in groups, and get better each day as an athlete. And then hopefully the numbers will come down, the COVID numbers, and we'll all have an opportunity to do what we love.
Anybody else want to chat about that? Good. COVID-19, so much fun. So Troy, there is a question here for you. Let me scroll back up to it regarding what would be some similarities and differences that you have noticed between Dunaway and Thompson?
Yeah, the similarities are they're both really smart. They're both really tough. It's really important. They're both really good leaders. Focusing on Jake is, obviously he came in and played for us last year and won a game against Northern Arizona. And anybody that saw him play knows that this guy can play. He was a very successful high school quarterback, successful at the junior college level, and he was successful for us last year. And he's only going to be better. So we feel great about Jake. He is an outstanding young man, a great player, as was Kevin. And then we got other guys on our roster that are very talented at quarterback that we're excited about. So we feel great about our team if we get to play football.
Fantastic. I'm hoping we get to play all fall sports. One last question is, we've asked how we can support student athletes. How can we support coaches through this time as alumni and the community of Sacramento? How can we support our Sacramento State coaches?
That's a tough one. I mean, right. I mean, boy, we could surely use some money. Unfortunately, everybody's getting hit hard financially by this, and every sport at Sacramento State has had to make some pretty major cuts. And we're trying not to cut anything that takes away from the student athlete experience, because I think that's the number one, that we're trying to maintain that student athlete experience. But certainly we're all being hit pretty hard financially, and I think every little bit helps. And so there's so many things. That was the first thing that popped in my head, because we're dealing with so many, cuts, and how are we going to do this as a team, and how are we going to, maintain the quality of the experience for the student athletes.
Yeah, I would echo that, what Randy said. I mean, it really would be the biggest help is aiding in whatever sport and supporting whatever they'd like to. It's a difficult time. The emotional support and people coming to watch and all that, and that has been there since I got there. I think that's very strong. Right now, everybody just needs a little bit of help, just because everything's being cut back, and it's unfortunate, but that's kind of where we are at.
Right. We do have another question too, if any of you want to jump on this. The person says it's an anonymous attendee, but while I realize there isn't an approved plan yet, let's say that football is postponed. I'm assuming that the boys who are scholarshiped have zero changes to that. Additionally, I assume that though the students may have online classes, that training will still take place to prep for the delayed season. I think that applies to all of you. So if anybody, wants to answer that question about what our new scholarships and that looks like.
Well, yeah, I can speak for football. I know we're going to continue to have our guys on scholarship. Obviously, with a lot of our classes being online, they'll have to take the majority of their classes online. We're still going to have our freshmen and on campus. I know they're going single rooms for dormitories for safety. But everything else, we'll go back to, if for some reason we were to play in the spring, I would assume we'd go back to 8 hours a week through our CARA that the NCAA allows us to train our athletes. And then we'd find our whatever starting date for camp they would give us. I would assume it would be sometime in January, and then we would just work our camp like we are now. But we're honestly, probably like everybody, we're not getting too far ahead of ourselves. I mean, the one thing I've learned about this whole deal is you can't overly plan, because everything changes so quickly. You can set up a whole long elaborate plan and then it's destroyed in 24 hours. So you got to be adaptable and agile and, conscientious for your student athletes, but we'll adapt. Right now, we have a date of September 5th on our mind that we're playing. We're getting ready for that date. If that changes, then, we'll adapt.
How about anybody else? Coach Linenberger?
Yeah, I think Troy again hit it on the head there. We're planning right now business as usual until we're told otherwise by the Big West Conference that we participate in, the NCAA or Sacramento State. Our report date is August 10th, so we're getting ready for that. And if they delay the season, there's been talk about delaying the season till mid to late September, potentially playing only conference games this year, potentially playing in the spring. But right now we're preparing for August 10th. And if and when we're told something different, then we'll adapt and change and get ready for the new parameters.
Great. Ed, anything? Randy, anything to add to that? Same thing?
It's the same thing. I mean, our start date is the 4th, and so we're preparing as if we're starting, and and if we don't, then we'll adjust, and like Ed said, we'll have to be agile and be reactive. And so, but with no decision made, we've got to prepare like we're going. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, an interesting dynamic with us is our athletes are dual sport. Our athletes do an indoor volleyball season, then we also do a beach season in the spring. So trying to figure out how that's going to work as far as scheduling goes, because if they push the indoor season later and later, there could be a potential overlap if beach volleyball doesn't follow along, and if they have their season at the regular window, which is about February to May. And if indoor season gets pushed into that could create some unique challenges for our program. We're hopeful, we're not the only program that's in that kind of situation. So we're hopeful that if indoor volleyball ends up shifting, even though as of right now, we're still planning on reporting in August. But if it does end up shifting to later in the semester, beach volleyball will join in and will push even later, and could potentially go into June if things like that happen. So that's kind of been thrown around and discussed a little bit, but that's all we're really doing. I think we're doing a lot of discussing, trying to get any kind of information we can. We are in pretty consistent communication with our athletes. We have pretty consistent Zoom meetings as a team and just check in and see how everybody's doing to keep everyone informed.
Great, thanks. And then one last COVID-19 question is, everybody wants to know what is going on right now. Are we screening our student athletes every time they come on campus? What does that look like for coaching staff and student athletes?
Yeah, for us, our players, you know, they take their temperature when they come in. They ask them if they've had any symptoms, and then they basically participate. They enter through one area, they exit through the other. They're only in their group or their pod, and then they depart. If they get a symptom, it seems like it could be a COVID symptoms, then they immediately are quarantined, and then they get a test. The problem is that it's hard to get a test. So, and then the bigger problem is that the test results are very sporadic and how fast or slow they come back. So it can take up to 2 weeks to get a COVID test result back. And by that period of time, they're probably not contagious anymore. So that's the frustrating part about it, you know, is the testing.
Yeah, and the testing, the resulting, the results.
Getting a test and then getting a rapid result that actually aids you in adjusting, because if it comes back 14 days later, it's kind of irrelevant because the symptoms have already passed and they're not contagious anymore. So I think we're dealing with a lot of, obviously the NFL and the NBA and Major League Soccer and Major League Baseball, the resources they have are different than what we have. So, they're getting people tested each day, and we're just simply not able to do that at this point.
Wonderful. Thank you. That's the end of the questions here, Jennifer. I'll let you resume.
Awesome. Thank you, Cheryl. And thank you everyone for submitting your questions. As we wrap up, because I know we're just a few minutes after 5 right now, I did want to share 2 quick reminders, and then I will ask the coaches to share some parting words. One, I want to encourage you all to join the Alumni Association if you haven't. We recently made a shift this year, and we are no longer a dues-based organization. So membership in the Alumni Association is now free, and we encourage all alumni, friends, and fans of Sacramento State to reach out and get involved. And then I know Hornet Sports, as you heard from a number of the coaches, one of the ways that alumni, fans, and friends can support our student athletes during this time is through donations. So I hope you will consider doing so through the Sacramento State Athletics Fund. We'll send a follow-up email out with some of the social media handles, because it sounds like that's a great way to also show support for student athletes for each of the teams, as well as links for membership and the Sacramento State Athletics Fund. So hopefully you'll consider those ways that you can support our student athletes as they gear up for a season to be determined. With that, I'd like to offer each of our coaches a chance for a few closing remarks. If I can, I'd like to ask Coach Linenberger to kick us off.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone that came and joined in today. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you joining us for an hour out of your afternoon, evening here today. We appreciate your support of Sacramento State and Sacramento State Athletics, and we hope you will continue to follow us.
Coach Dedini.
And I'll echo exactly what Mike just said. Thank you, everybody, for all of your support. And I think I could probably speak for all of us coaches in that when the student athletes are here on campus, we're going to do everything that we can to keep them safe. My main priority is to keep them safe and try to minimize any of the risks. They're like family away from family. And so, mean a lot to me, and I know it's the same for all the coaches. I mean, we're going to do our best to keep the student athletes safe, but also try to, give them the opportunity to play the sport they love and compete at a high level.
Thank you. Coach Jackson.
Yeah, just again, want to thank everyone for the opportunity. It's a great chance for us to be able to share a little bit about what goes on within our individual programs here. And I encourage everyone to just continue to, check in on hortonsports.com. And when we, work our way through this and we're back to having athletics the way we enjoy it, it'd be great to see everyone out at the games come and support our student athletes, and don't be afraid to say hi. Come up and say hi to us, and yeah, it'd be great. So we'll look forward to getting back to that as soon as we can.
And Coach Taylor.
Yeah, well, thank you, Jennifer and Cheryl. Really appreciate the opportunity to connect with alumni and people that are interested in Sacramento State. It's really a team effort in collegiate athletics, and not just the players and the coaches and administration, but it's alumni and even fans to be able to support your sport and your school, emotionally and in attendance. And then you have the ability, obviously, any resources that you can help out. But it really is it's a web that extends way outside. And if we're going to be kind of have this kind of success that we've had, and all these incredible sports, and continue to want to improve, we need to extend our team and have everybody be a part of it.
Well, and kind of piggybacking on that, I want to thank all of you. I know your time is very precious right now as you're gearing up for all the fall sports, and we really appreciate you as coaches giving us an hour of your time to get to know you and your sport better. I know I learned a lot and really appreciated the conversation and the collegiality, and I look forward to whatever the season holds and being an avid supporter, and I know all of our participants do as well. On that note, I'd like to just, end it on a fun note of stingers up. So if I could have all our coaches, let's give a big go Hornets and stingers up.
Stingers.
Go Hornets!
Go Hornets!
Hornets. Stingers up!
Woo! All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our event today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We will send out an email with the link to this presentation, as well as the social media channels and the other items I mentioned in the next couple of days. And we appreciate your support, and take care, stay safe, and be healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you,
Thank
coaches.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you, everyone.
Thank you.